Hey, what's happening, Baltimore Ravens fans? Welcome back to The Bald Perspective. On your way in the door, go ahead and tap that like button, hit subscribe if you never subscribed, and tap that notification bell so you get updates when we upload new content. Let's talk. It doesn't look like it's going away, guys and gals. What, you might ask? The controversy, the smoke. You see, the further we get away from the Max Crosby rescinded trade and the immediate pivot to Trey Hendrickson, the more people are beginning to fan the flames, the more information that gets leaked out, revealed, or reported. Now, in all truth, nobody is going to ever know the exact truth. It does not matter what Eric DeCosta says. It's not going to matter what Max Crosby says. It's not going to matter what Trey Hendrickson says. It's going to be a combination of narratives, and somewhere between everybody, including agents, there is going to be the truth. But what is true right now is that the league is upset. Per several reports, several general managers are looking at EDC and the Ravens differently. One report that I read is that many general managers will be reluctant to do business with the Baltimore Ravens. Now, we can say, forget them. It don't matter. But if you do business in the NFL, it absolutely does matter. Because there's going to be somebody that they're trying to get rid of that you may want, and it's going to be somebody you're trying to get rid of that they may want. Or you may want to move up or down in the draft. And if people don't trust you, if people start rocking with you, you can't do business. You see, 3 weeks ago now, when I said the Baltimore Ravens should not do a trade for Max Crosby specifically, you guys came back with the exception of one commentary that, hey, shouldn't do it. He would cost too much and the draft capital is too much. And I said at that time, if the Baltimore Ravens did a trade with Max Crosby, which I said they should not do, I said it would immediately put us over the cap and cost draft compensation, and then we would have to scramble to figure out what to do after that. And that's exactly what happened. Let me deal with something since I'm at the front of this video. The whole narrative, no matter who reports it, that the Baltimore Ravens were going to try and put together Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson at the same time on the same roster, is a farce. I do not believe it. I don't care who tells it. Here's why. If we believe 2 + 2 still equals 4, then the cap space math doesn't match. Let's look into it in a 5-minute segment. The Baltimore Ravens, right before the Max Crosby trade that wasn't, had roughly $18 to $20 million available. Now, we understand any deal that's done prior to the new league year does not become official until the league year starts. Okay, we understand that every trade comes with a physical, and until that physical passes, the trade is not official either. Okay, but if we're doing math, let's do even numbers. Let's say the Baltimore Ravens had $20 million in cap space. You make a trade for Max Crosby, that's $35 million coming to your cap. Okay, and let's say the Baltimore Ravens end up doing the Trey Hendrickson deal, $28 million APY. That's $63 million with those two players. That doesn't include a $10 million deal for John Simpson. That's $73 million. This is all over the cap, by the way. Okay, that doesn't include the Tyler Huntley deal, which is another $5 million-ish. That's $78 million. That doesn't include Chidobe Awuzie, $5 million. That's $83 million over the cap. That doesn't include signing Hawkins. That does not include signing the tight end Smythe. That doesn't include signing those dudes. So you're somewhere around $90 million over the cap, okay? And at the same time, what we understood was that EDC had reported at the combine that he had offered Tyler Lindenbaum a market-setting deal. So let's lock him in at $20 million. That puts you somewhere at $110 million over the cap. Pause. That's not including any other additions. That's not including anything else on the back end. That's not including money to have for your draft picks. That's not including your UDFA market. It's not included. We're 110 million. Okay, now let's do the deductions. Lamar Jackson's restructure created $40 million in cap space plus the 20 we already had available. That's $60 million. You're still minus $40 million, or you're still over $40 million. Now, where was a Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson pairing coming? See, it don't even sound feasible when you just really do the math. See, that's just something you say. That's little nuggets you drop out there to kind of save face. See, what I believe really happened is what a lot of people believe really happened is once they got Max Crosby, they saw that Trey Hendrickson was still out there. They saw that other goodish pass rushers were still available. And the Trey Hendrickson market didn't fully develop or develop as quickly. And when he saw all of those dudes leave, that being EDC, leave on day one, he knew that he could not afford to lose the draft picks and all those players all for one player, which is what I said. I said Max Crosby can't block and catch and tackle by himself, which is the original reason why I said they should not make the move. So save all of that, because I just can't get down with that theory that he was going to try and pair both of them together. That's just what you say. And then he comes out and said he was gutted. Whatever. I understand that football is a business, so I understand you have to make business decisions. So he made the right business decision. He made the decision to go with the healthier of the two players, because I do believe that there was something on Max Crosby's medical examination. I do believe that. But you avoid this controversy by doing what was smart. What was smart is getting involved in the tampering period, doing your deals, waiting until the league year starts. And if the Dallas Cowboys end up with Max Crosby, then the Dallas Cowboys end up with Max Crosby, based upon what we learned that the Cowboys was in it to the very end. That's what I'm speaking of. Like I said, the Baltimore Ravens panic bought on Max Crosby. And I want you to hear me very closely, I think the Baltimore Ravens will get some punishment out of this. You see, because there's a lot of people inside the NFL and outside the NFL, meaning former players outside, screaming and hollering that they need to be looked into, they need to be investigated. And the one thing the league does not want is scandal. You see, the Baltimore Ravens is just one team of 32 ownership groups. So it's not a situation where they just betrayed the Raiders necessarily, if you look at it that way. Because if they look at it as a scandal, you betrayed the other 31, because you all do business together. You all break bread together. That's why I don't believe that the Baltimore Ravens go unscathed. This is the reason why I said EDC should be fired immediately, because of the implications that he should have already known before the deal. He knew that he would be pushed over the cap. He knew that it was going to cost him 2 first-round picks. He knew it would make him unable to negotiate. And he knew some of the guys who were going to be available day one of tampering were going to leave. He knew that. And he already knew. And see, I heard a report that somebody said that he was going to try to get both after he learned that Tyler Linderbaum was leaving. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. Because getting a Trey Hendrickson and a Max Crosby together does not fix the 3 positions in that interior of your offensive line that you haven't fixed yet. Don't believe it. And if you wanted to pair Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson, and then when that didn't work out, your immediate and obvious pivot was to Trey Hendrickson. And you understood at that time that the whole league was going to be looking at you with an intense focus. Let's go deeper. You see, I've learned that some people in the sports reporting world, whether they are content creators or whether they are journalists or whether they are insiders, they like to be the first to report. So I was listening to one of the bigger Ravens content creation shows. It wasn't the biggest one, but it was a pretty big one. And somebody came on yesterday. I'm not going to call the name, but somebody came on that show yesterday live and said, watch this, that the Trey Hendrickson deal was done before the Max Crosby trade. Now, what I believe that person was trying to do was give the Baltimore Ravens a little bit of a benefit of a doubt and say, hey, they're not trying to swindle anybody. They're not trying to get out of this thing easy. But by opening their mouth, what they actually did was, I think, increase the scrutiny. If anybody was really listening to that, you heard what I heard. You would have heard that the Trey Hendrickson deal was done before the Max Crosby deal, which is tampering. And that cost you draft picks. So I don't believe the Baltimore Ravens go unscathed with this. It's too loud, it's too messy, it's too noisy. Now, I hope that I'm wrong, because we need everything we're going to get. We're going to need all the draft picks we can get. We're going to need all of that. So I hope that we're wrong. But I do think other general managers are looking at EDC a little different. I do think agents are looking at the Ravens a little different. Now, let me hit one more thing. If the Ravens really wanted to pair Trey Hendrickson with Max Crosby and then that didn't work out, then why don't they go on an immediate pivot and get another one of the high-end or better edge rushers on the market? See, if that was the theory, if that was really the theory and you wanted to pair two good edge rushers, Bradley Chubb was still available. Caleb Chason was still available. The guy out of Joey Bosa still available, who is familiar with Mentor. Now he is probably the lesser of those guys, but he's still a quality pass rusher. So if you wanted to pair him with another dude, where's your effort? Where's your behavior? Now, somebody could be getting signed right now, but what I'm simply saying is it's messy. And I don't think there's any real way for the Baltimore Ravens to repair anytime soon some of the damage that has been done. And then to top it off, you don't get a deal done with your quarterback, so you have to do a restructure, which causes that money to grow for next year. Now, the hope is that they still get an extension done. We'll talk about that deeper another day. But it is what it is. I do think when I'm looking at the moves, I do think Trey Hendrickson is a great addition. I think that the Baltimore Ravens should use him more as a pass rush specialist versus an every down type of dude, especially with some of the injury concerns he's had. And he's not great against the run, but maybe he wasn't great against the run because his running mates were not great. We don't know, but we'll see. But I do think he's a good addition. I think they got him at a good bargain. When I look at some of the other signings, I think the tight end signing, pretty good signing, only because Declan Doyle knows him, knows how to use him, knows how to deploy him. So I think that was a good signing. I think that Chidobe Awuzie, a solid signing. I won't say it's good or bad, but based on who was available, I think it was a good signing. I think that Hawkins, I don't know much about him, so I have to look into him. But from what I've heard about it, from other people talking about him, solid signing. And still some question marks about John Simpson, and definitely some question marks about the offensive line. And what the Baltimore Ravens do with that offensive line really makes my head hurt. It really makes my head hurt because it's almost as if they don't even realize that they have a franchise quarterback on their team and that he needs protection. See, that's the baffling part. You want to pair two high-end edge rushers, which I don't believe is true, but let's say it is true. So you're willing to put $63 million APY into two edge rushers, but totally ignore the offensive line. And what you go and do is bring back John Simpson, who you should have already had. These are the things that makes my head hurt about EDC and this Baltimore Ravens team. And so I think that we still have a lot of work to do. And to be honest, I think we're going to need all 11 picks because the talent is drying up fast. A lot of guys got snatched up during the tampering period, and then more guys got snatched up. High-end talent got snatched up day one of free agency. That's why I haven't heard my ESPN alert go off frequently like I have been. And so I don't know what we're going to do at center. Two of the top guys who left at center, Lloyd Cushenberry and Pochich, I think I got his name correctly. They both ended last year with injury, so you don't really know about them. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, right? When you talk about trying to get two edge rushers, you still needed a center. And there were centers still available. No matter what we thought about Elton Jenkins, he was available. He was the best guy available after that first run of centers, but we didn't even put our name on him. We allowed him to go over and play for the Browns. So the stuff, man, that really happens doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I guess, you might as well go ahead and make a trade for AJ Brown. I'm just speaking tongue in cheek at this point. Why? Because you're not going to have anybody to block in that middle of the offensive line. Not anybody that we can really trust. You can't trust Emory Jones because we don't know much about him, and you can't trust who plays center because we don't know much about who that's going to be either. So I guess it's either Corey Bullock or somebody who ended last season with an injury. I guess because nobody's trading their center at this point. So you might as well trade for AJ Brown and put some fear in somebody's heart, so the defense can't really blitz all the time or crowd the box all the time. Because you're gonna have a better chance of throwing the ball than you are running, especially with the middle in question. So listen, that's where I am, man. I do think the signings we made do benefit the Baltimore Ravens. I think we are better today than we were yesterday. But how much better, I'm not sure just yet. You guys let me know what you think. And until next time, I'm out.